Okay, now it's time to start the material creation process for the blade section. And in here, I'm going to create 3 different folder and call it base layer, first layer, and second layer. So let's create the mask for each of them. Okay, I'm going to add fill layer for each folder. Let's change the color, just the color, because we just want to see what happened when we apply the masks. Okay, so that's it. And let's add black mask for all folders. Okay, so for the base layer, I'm going to use a paint sublayer. And after that, let's select these areas. So this is the area that I want to apply the base layer, but we can't even use the whole shape of the blade. So both of them are correct, but whenever we feel okay, we need to subtract this area in the base layer, we can come back here and do that. So it's not a big deal for now. And let's load the mask for the first layer. Okay, I create the mask for the first layer before. If I go to the anchor point, we can see the level 1 mask. So this is a level 1 mask and everything is perfect. So let's go to the second layer and I'm going to recall the level 2 mask, but it's not here because we didn't create the anchor point for this section. And now we can use the level 2 mask here. As you can see, we have our layering system for the blade. So let's create the material for the base layer. So I'm going to rename this fill layer to base material. Okay. And now I'm going to search in the material mode for metal brushed. So as you can see, the material itself, it's so good for the base material, but we need to add some extra layer and detail for creating the better result. And in here, we can see the direction of the brush effect on the material is not correct. So I'm going to change the rotation to 90. And as you can see, we have a good brush linear effect on the surface according to the straight UV islands in the UV section. So everything is okay. Let's increase the metal roughness. Yeah. And the brush length. Okay, the brush intensity maybe a little. And we don't need to have height inside this material. So let's brushing string goes down. Her line density. Yeah, I think it's good right now. So let's create another fill layer. I'm going to call it dirt L1. Okay, and add the black mask and add the generator. And now here I'm going to use the dirt generator with the macro detail in a high channel as we did before. So let's add this effect. I'm going to increase the AO depth, AO radius, like this. And let's go back to the mask. So we can increase or decrease the grunge amount. Let's increase the contrast here. Okay, that's it. So we just need color, roughness, and metallic. Okay, and let's change the color to the dark value and change the blending mode to something like overlay. So we can decrease the overlay, yeah, to something like 75. And in here, I can increase the roughness value. And as you can see, we have a dirt level. So let's increase the dirt level to, okay, that's enough. And let's add another fill layer. I'm going to call it scratch. Okay, and now add a black mask. And let's add a fill layer and load a scratches rough. So this is the mask we are going to use. Okay, let's go to the black mask, increase the tiling, for example, to number 4. And okay, I'm going to play with this parameter to achieve a good result. That's it. Okay, scratching mask. It's a good way to reduce the repetition on the mask. Okay, that's it. Maybe we can play with the offset value. Okay, let's go back to the fill layer itself. I need color, height, roughness, and metallic. Okay, for the roughness, I'm going to use 0.8, and for the metallic, I'm going to use 0.5, and for the color, let's make it pure white, and change the blending mode to soft light. And for the height section, okay, let's use negative height here to make it more realistic effect. Yeah, everything is fine. As you can see, we have a good metal for the base layer on the blade. Okay, so that's enough for now. We are going to continue this way for the first layer. So for the first layer, I'm going to create a base material layer. And in here, I just need color, roughness, metallic, and normal. And change the blending mode in all channel for the base material to normal. Okay. So, and in here for the folder itself, we should do that. So in this way, we can control the details are going to show or blend with the details that we have in the first layer folder or not. So I'm going to use the blending normal mode for all channel, and that's it. We have a clean result here. So let's create the material for the first layer. And in here, I'm going to use a dark bluish metal like this. Roughness should be on 0.5, and the metallic maybe 0.1. Yeah. So this is for the first layer. Let's continue with the second layer, base material. Let's add blending mode normal to all channel, and we just need color, roughness, metal, and normal, and change the blending mode for the folder itself to normal. So as you can see, if I apply the normal blending mode to all channel, yeah, boom. So what about the scratches? So for the scratches, we are using a height channel. And because we don't have height channel for the base material, now we can see the effect of the scratches on the surface. So what we should do, we should come back to the base layer in the scratches. Let's add a fill layer. Let's recall the level 1 mask and change the blending mode to subtract. And again, I'm going to duplicate it. So let's change the level 2 mask. And now we have scratches without touching the level 1 and level 2 area. So everything is okay and we are ready to go. Okay, let's change the color for the base material in the second layer. Okay, this is a good value for the start. And we need to continue our way for the first layer material. So I'm going to add at least 3 different color variation for this metal. So let's add the first one, color variation number 1. And I just need color for now and add the black mask here. Okay, now I'm going to add a fill layer. Let's load the cloud number 1 mask. Okay, and change the parameters to something like this. Yeah, and maybe I need more tiling. Let's add a blur filter. Okay, increase the amount, yeah, to something like this. And let's change the color to something like dark blue, as you can see, and change the blending mode to, for example, inverse subtract. Decrease the opacity value to something like 50. So in the base color, in the metal section, now I have a color variation that I want. Maybe a little darker. It should be better. Yeah, that's it. Okay. And now let's add the second color variation. So I just need color and let's add a black mask. Okay, now I'm going to use the exact same mask here. That's it. Let's decrease the blur value and maybe increase the balance. So I'm going to use a dark brown color, maybe a little lighter. Yeah, like this. And change the blending mode to difference. And bring down the opacity, yeah, to something like 35. Okay, let's add the anchor point here, and I'm going to recall the anchor point color variation number 1 and change the blending mode to subtract. Okay, so now we have a color effect in the color section, as you can see. And it's not related to the color variation one, but they are connected in the mask in indirect way. So this is the color variation layer number 2, and let's go for the color var 3, and I'm going to add a black mask. Okay, I'm going to add a generator like curvature. That's it. Let's use macro detail, macro height, blade height, change the reference channel to height, and boom, we have the curvature. And let's decrease the global balance, global contrast, global blur. Okay, and now I just need the color and the roughness itself. And let's change the base color to dark. Okay, dark gray, and play with the roughness value to something like 8, for example. And yeah, and we can add a color var number 4, and we just want to play with the edges. So let's add generator, metal edge, and use macro detail as we did before. Okay, and that's it. Yeah, and as you can see, we have this white value. I just need the color and the roughness. The color can be on soft light and like this. Yeah, and now we have the edges. So we can add a blur to have some smoothing effect. So this is for the color variation, and let's go for the roughness variation because it's a metal surface, it's a reflective surface, and we need roughness variation too. And I'm going to call roughness var number 1. And now I can add a black mask, add a generator, and use the ambient occlusion. Okay, it's fine, but it doesn't read our data. So use macro details, macro height, and blade height. Yeah, and reference to the height channel. Everything is okay. And let's bring down the global balance. And we can add a fill layer like cloud 3 and change the blending mode to multiply. So now we have cloud 3 inside ambient occlusion mask. And let's add another fill layer. And now we can use the different map like grunge 50. Yeah, like this. And let's increase the tiling amount and increase the balance, decrease the contrast, and change the blending mode to multiply again. So we have the cloud, and inside the cloud we have grunge map number 15. So they are related to each other. Okay, So let's go for the cloud and play with the parameter that we have here. And now we can change the roughness variation in here to something like 0.8. Yeah, let's go to the roughness channel. And as you can see, we have some variation here. Now we can play with the mask itself. Yeah, maybe in the ambient occlusion, we can play with the global balance or invert and get different variation, but I'm okay with this. You know, it's it's a very good looking metal surface. So let's go for the second roughness variation. And this time I want to create the shiny part of the material. So let's add a black mask. And now I can add a fill layer. In the fill layer, let's call grunge leaky paint. Yeah, it's a very good map, very good looking map. That's it. And change the parameter like tiling to 3 and play with the balance and contrast again. Yeah. And we can control the roughness amount and the effect of this mask with the opacity. Okay, that's it. That's a very good looking roughness variation on the surface. So let's go for the scratches layer. Okay. And let's add a black mask. Okay. And let's add a fill layer. I'm going to load scratches rough. And I just need another scratches layer to have some variation. So let's load dusty scratches map. Okay, let's see what we have here. Yeah, dusty. It's a very good. And let's go to the layer parameter itself. I'm going to play with the color and the roughness just only. So for the color, I'm going to play with the white value and the soft light blending mode. And for the roughness, I'm going to use a very high amount in roughness. So let's go for the mask. For the first, let's play with the scratches rough. Okay, I'm going to add some random seed. Let's play with the tiling over here, and I'm going to bring down the balance, scratch tiling to 2. Let's make some blurness in the map here, like this. Okay. And that's enough, I think. Okay. And let's add the other mask that we have, but we need to change the blending mode to linear dodge. So, yeah, it's okay. And let's set piling 5 and play with the balance and the contrast. Okay. And yeah, that's it. we have the scratches on the surface like this one, and we can decrease the amount of the opacity or the base color channel, and we have it. Okay, that's it. So let's add another layer, which I'm going to call it brown dirt. Okay, and let's keep the color, the roughness, and the metal. We don't need height, normal, AO, or opacity. So let's add the black mask. I'm going to add a generator like dirt. Yeah, we can use the height blade, reference channel to hide, macro detail, low down, and play with the grunges amount, dirt level, and etc. to achieve what we want. Yeah. Okay. Let's change the curvature type to something like, for example, a standard or smooth. Yeah, I think a smooth is better. Okay. That's it. And let's add another fill layer like leak. Okay, grunge leak is small is good. That's it. Let's increase the tiling to 6 and play with the contrast and the balance. So, okay, let's change the blending mode to linear dodge. Yeah, we have the perfect mask for brown dirt, and I'm going to add a filter like warp and play with the intensity divider and the intensity itself. So we can add another fill layer and use, for example, grunge leak with the high contrast and balance like this one. Play with the tiling and use subtract, or we can use the multiply. So I think multiply is better. Yeah, we can increase the tiling to 4, for example, or maybe 3 is good. Let's play with the offset. Yeah, I think this dirt is very good. So let's go back here. I'm going to create a dark brown dirt, yeah, like this. And we can use even in the roughness channel in here something like Vibe Smoothie Soft and play with the parameter to achieve the look that we want. Yeah, like this. So we can create and use different grunges inside the layers, inside the mask, and combine them together. So let's bring down the opacity for the roughness. Yeah, I'm going to do that for the color too. Yeah, this is a slight effect on the surface. That's it. So let's add the final layer for this part of the material. I'm going to call it metal edge damage, and let's load the metal brush, or we can use different, yeah, metal galvanized is okay. So let's increase the tiling to something like 5, for example. This is the layer that we have under the paint layer. Okay, so let's add the black mask and let's add the generator, metal edge generator. Okay, so let's decrease the wear level and decrease the contrast as well. Maybe grunge amount 2. We are going to use macro height, blade height, and reference channel to height. Yeah, that's it. Let's go to the mask and let's increase the high detail intensity, AO reduce, AO depth, for example. Okay, play with this slider. So let's add a filter like warp, and I'm going to increase the intensity divider. Okay, and let's add a fill layer in here, like grunge number 3. Yeah, this one. And I'm going to increase the tiling to 5. Let's decrease the contrast and decrease the balance. And change the blending mode to subtract. So we are breaking the metal edge result. So let's add another subtraction layer. And this time I'm going to use the favorite map in the history of the texturing, Perling noise. So let's increase the tiling to 6. Play with the balance and contrast like this one. And change the blending mode to subtract. So this is the result that we have, and we can decrease the scale like this, and we are done for this layer. So we have the edge effect, and we can add a fill layer with just height, and we can play with the height amount. Okay, for example, I think the value of the base height for the first layer is 0.2, so we can use 0.15. Yeah, we have the effect that we want. And perfect. So we can create some surface noises like direction, year, rotation in 90, contrast, balance, contrast, and yeah. Like this, as you can see, can increase the tiling to, for example, number 3, reduce the balance, change the blending mode to linear dodge, and boom, we have the result that we want here and ready to go for the second layer of the material. So in the next video, we are working on second layer material.